up your engine! People are always asking me about smaller SUVs. Here's a 10-year-old Rav4. Give you a true analysis of the vehicle. Now, 10 years ago, when this Rav4 was new, went for about $24,000. Not a bad deal. It's 10 years old and it's still in excellent shape. But I do have to say on this particular one, as we start it up, it only has 52,000 miles on it. So 10 years old and that small amount of miles isn't a real test of the vehicle. They can go a lot more than that, but it's still in excellent shape. 10 years is still 10 years, regardless of the mileage. You can see on the inside it's utilitarian. It's black and silver. It got a nice steering column. It's got the vinyl seats, typical Toyota. Freezing cold air. And when we look under the hood, it's a Toyota dual variable valve timing, the intelligent one. This baby has a legendary 4-speed automatic front wheel drive on it. My Celica has a legendary 4-speed automatic front wheel drive. My Matrix has a legendary 4-speed automatic front wheel drive transmission. These 4-speed automatics, when they finally wear out 500,000 miles, I find places that remanufacture them. And now this is unheard of. Listen to the warranty this remanufacturer of these transmission gives. Our rebuilt Toyota Rav4 transmissions come with a 5-year unlimited mile, parts, and labor warranty. Try finding another remanufactured transmission with that kind of warranty. 5 years, unlimited mileage. They pay for the labor if it goes out. These guys know these are excellent transmissions. And when they do finally get one that's broken and they rebuild it, they know they're so well made that they can give a warranty. I've had remanufactured Chrysler transmissions. You know what they come with? 1-year warranty. That's it. That shows you how well built these transmissions are. When they finally wear out, and eventually anything will wear out, if a guy can rebuild it and give that kind of a guarantee, he knows they're good transmissions. You'll never see that, like I say, in a Chrysler or other ones. Sometimes they give a couple of years, but never unlimited mileage and free labor. These guys know. They rebuild them right, they're going to last a really long time. And as an overall vehicle, it's got the classic roof rack on it. And as I said, the interior, it's utilitarian. You go into the back seat, grandkid seats, lots of room. These flip back if you need to. It's a nice Rav4 walkthrough. If you detest having trunks that open and fall and hit you on the head, nothing beats a door that opens on the back. Easy access. Got a nice swivel top to hide stuff. Good room here, and like any Toyota, you can plop these down so you have a lot more space. Well thought out, easy to get in and out too. And I kind of like the old style, having a spare tire on the back. You can put whatever symbols you want on it. It's even got decent alloys that if you cleaned them up, they still look good. Missing the hub here, it needs another hub, but that's just for show anyway. And the engine, got a timing chain, don't have to worry about timing belts. Being a Toyota, you ever need an alternator? This is still the original one, you can see it's dirty, but if you need one, you can go down to AutoZone any place and buy them. So let's take it for a ride. Typical Toyota, start it up, starts right up. Nice cold AC. Now the tire pressure monitoring light is on because it's got low air in the tire that I got to fill up. Now we'll give it a little acceleration test, floor it. Not a race car by any stretch of the imagination, but it goes. You can hear that transmission shifting. Shifts nice and strong. The 4-speed is working great. They're not race cars. They're not meant to be race cars. They're small SUVs. And as you're driving around, they corner quite well for a vehicle that's relatively high. And the ride is what you expect from a small SUV. Realize they're based more on a truck chassis than they are a car chassis. So you're going to feel bumps. I feel bumps in the Matrix. It runs perfectly fine. It actually handles a lot better than this because it's more of a sporty suspension. But this thing's 10 years old, still rides decent. And yeah, you can hear and feel the bumps as you hit them. But you got total control. It tracks fine. Take your hand off the steering wheel. It still tracks really well. All in all, it's an excellent small SUV. You can tell by looking out, you're relatively high up in the air. Not as high as that truck, but it's still high enough for people who drive in snowy areas. that if you're worried about getting stuck in the snow, this is quite a bit higher. Now, this is only the two-wheel version. My daughter-in-law in Boston has the four-wheel one that they use all the time in the winter and never get stuck. So you got a choice of whatever you want. Here in Texas, you're throwing your money away on all-wheel drive. Now it's 10 years old. When you look down here, you can turn the traction control off if you want to drive a little harder. And of course, realize it's a Toyota. The traction control system is well made. It's not like one of those crappy GM traction control systems that breaks all the time and costs a fortune to fix. So then most people say, the heck with it, I'll drive without traction control. The stuff's well made. 10 years later, it still works fine. Heck, 20 years later on my wife's Lexus, that still works fine. Because there's a big deal of difference between complex electronic technology like traction control that works and complex traction control systems that either don't work from the get-go or break soon after and never perform correctly. Not only do you have better safety in these things, you got better safety that keeps going year after year and not breaking down once the warranty is up. And really, even though they call it a smaller SUV, you look around, an awful lot of room inside these things. When you add it all together, lots of windows so you can see, you don't have blind spots. Because I have more customer over the years with SUVs that said we really like them, but we're always bumping into things. Fenders are bumped, bumpers are scratched up, but there's a lot of blind spots in many SUVs. They're always hitting things with them consequently. If you can't see where you're going, unless you're willing to put 4 cameras in, like that 2020 Corvette, that baby had 4 cameras, so anytime you want, when you're parking, you can see everything, front, back, and both sides. If you hit anything in that car, that's on you, not on the car. Utilitarian small SUV. You can't really do much better than this 2011 Toyota Rav4. So now you know the truth about some small SUVs, especially this 2011 Rav4, especially if you're thinking about saving and buying a second-hand one. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Freshman twin says, Scotty, what's the best Toyota Lexus car under 10 grand? Well, it's going to be a used one, that's for sure. You can't buy a new one that cheap. Even a lowest end Toyota is going to be at least $15,000, $16,000. Depends what you want, you know? I mean, I paid $3 grand for my wife's Lexus ES 300 when I bought it when it was like 10 years old, and that was the best car I've ever gotten. It's insane. I just got a deal because it was a customer's father's car, died of a heart attack, and he didn't want it anymore, and they didn't have any kids, and they each had their own cars, so I got a great deal on it. I still had to put $1 grand in to paint it because there had a lot of chips from, they had bicycles on the back where they went bicycle riding. That's the best car I ever bought. You look around, if you can find an estate sale one, age is meaningless on a Toyota or a Lexus. So what if it's 15 years old? If it's only got 70, 80,000 miles, it's still a great car. So don't go by the year, go by the mileage. That's what's important. Because if it's older but lower mileage, you can get a decent price. Even if it's high mileage, if it's 3 or 4 years old, you're still going to pay way too much, way over 10 grand for most of them. The Mighty Pen says, Scotty, would you buy a Lotus Evora GT410? No, I'd never spend that kind of money on a car. The English, Lotus always had engines from other places. The English have a history of that. You know, the early English motorcycles, they had French engines in them. The English have always messed around with engines from all over the world. The Lotuses are rich men's toys. I'm not into that kind of stuff. I've got the money to buy a fleet of them if I wanted to, but I have no interest in that. I'd rather send my grandkids to college than spend it on a sports car. I mean, and anyways, I'm easily bored. I get sports cars all the time free to road test to make videos out of from the companies. And after a day or two, I'm bored with them anyways, and then I like the next one to try to see if it handles better or this or that. But after a while, you get bored. Why would you spend all that money on something that in a week or two, you'd be bored of it? That's my philosophy anyway. Polo Castanon says, Scotty, if you had an option between a Scion IA and a Nissan Sentra, which would you choose? Both are 2016. Love the channel. Keep up the good work. Well, that's a no-brainer. The Scion and the Nissan Sentras, they're made all over the world. It's not even a comparison. Now, if you had gone back 20 years ago, the Nissan Sentras were decent vehicles. Renault took over 2000. Since then, they've been going, and after 2010, they really took a real nosedives. Don't even think about buying one of those things. Unless you can get it dirt cheap, because they have such horrible resale. I get people buy junky ones for $800 and drive them for 2 or 3 years. What the heck? If you get a cheap thing like that, don't put any serious money out for a Nissan. It's stupid. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.